Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. Well, it's fall now. It's really fall. And the fishing conditions are constantly changing. And I just got off the phone with my buddy Jigger Jim, who really is sort of my contact for Black Lake. And he said, well, I'm not fishing today, but I was fishing yesterday. I said, tell me what happened. How did you do? He said, well, he was out with his buddy. And he said, we really had a good day at the smallmouth bite. It was all smallmouths, basically. He said, but it was nothing like it was 7 to 10 years ago. We could go out 7 to 10 years ago at this time in the smallmouth. We would catch so many fish in a day. He said, I caught 10. And Jigger Jim was, guess what? He was jigging. But he had a new technique, a new type of lure. He said, you're not going to believe. And I hate to pass on the secrets that help anglers be their own personal best. You know, it's a very secretive business. We think it isn't, but it is. But he said he's using it's a little General. I think it's made by Berkley. It's a little Ned rig, 3-inch worm. But Z-Man now has a spinner that they make that embeds in the worm. You attach it to the worm, and when you're fishing it, that spinner is spinning, it's attracting the fish, and, you know, the concept sounds wonderful. But in this case, he said it really works. He says he throws it out, lets it hit the bottom, and then just slowly starts reeling it back. And that little 3-inch worm with that spinner spinning, he says those fish they wanted to eat it. They were just taking it, but they'd take it in really quickly down deep. But it brings up so many thoughts about fishing this time of the year. He said, we also went and fished horny toads for largemouth. And I said to Jim, Jim, isn't this kind of late, cold to be going into largemouth water with horny toads on the surface? He said, you'd think so. He said, before I moved up here, I thought that, but it can be highly effective. And he said, we caught 2 really nice largemouth on horny toads on the surface, and the water temperature was in the 40s. And so, you know, there's so much that we can learn from talking to other people, from sharing fishing experiences. I said, I don't think the largemouth would be in the shallows right now. Tell me why you think they're there. He says, oh, yeah, bass move into the shallows right now. And I said, why? He said, because a lot of their food now is the tiny perch that were born this year. And they're in there by the gazillions, he said, all over the place, and they'll feed on these little perch. So why does a horny toad work then? If they're in there feeding on perch, a horny toad doesn't look like a perch. But I guess the fish are there. And that's the secret to fishing more than anything I can think of. Is number one, you got to locate the fish. You got to fish where the fish are. And second, and just as important, you got to know why the fish are there. And they're there to eat. They're there to follow schools of food. If it's minnows, then it's schools of minnows or other organisms that they eat that are grouped together in an area. Everything has to eat to survive. And if you can find what they're eating and where they are, then you have a great chance of catching fish. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.